Here. Great. So would you mind lifting so I can put this in? And I found my automatic screwdrivers.
You know, I belong to a guitar group.
Yeah.
We meet once a month at best. We sing only like 60s, 70s soft rock, or really it's folk music.
Yeah.
And one of the key people will only play in the key of G and only easy chords. In
That's
fact,
nice.
they made up a song that they love E minor.
It's nice to play along with that.
I'm the soprano. What was that?
That's your phone.
Hmm.
Every time someone comes in, it makes that sound.
Yeah.
Okay, so this scratches the floor quite a bit.
Oh,
Okay, you sure? Because you wore the shirt that I don't like.
I know, they're not gonna see it.
Okay, so
We're
sure
not,
you
we're not in the
own?
picture. All right. Stop talking. What? I'm trying to do it. You tapping my nose. It's okay.
Can't be right.
Okay.
No, it hasn't started yet. Right? Shows our name.
It's starting there now.
You don't see anybody.
Oh, yeah.
These are your glasses. I have to explain to Luch, I think I have to put on Murphy's collar. So if they need to go out, Luch can take them out.
Don't push on don't push on the desk.
Right. Luch, I'll put on Murphy's collar in case you need to take them out. Okay. Are you ready there, huh?
Okay. Hello. Hi. Fair. Nice to meet you. No?
You know, people.
So I have to have a week in Toronto and a week in DC.
Don't quite basically what I gathered is they just fight to the death. So do you know Chuck's brothers is here?
Yes. Right there.
Didn't recognize him at all.
Yeah, it's the last one standing. Last one standing. There was Chuck, there was, Vicky,
Right.
and there was Barry. And
Barry.
What?
Is he like the younger?
I thought he was old.
It's Jason Lewis.
He was older than me. He was like 3 or something.
Vicky died before Sue died. Day before. And she lived in LA.
Barry still had the farm.
Hello, you don't know. I've known you since you were born, actually. Pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
So we ask you now to use your cards and line up right behind the poster. We ask the family card first and then line up behind. So you can use the card from the house and the service that gets down.
Yes.
How are you? Oh, so handsome. We have to take a picture later.
We do.
That's good. It's not Gregory's youngest son. What's your name again? What's your name? Levi. And Esther and Remy and where's Aaron?
He just walked out. He's right there. He's right there. He's with Bud.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See you too. Telling people I knocked out. We are walking to our cars to drive over to the second section.
right now we're all lining, and then we're gonna all drive over in a caravan.
Want me to film you while you're playing?
We'll be on here.
Okay.
And now, if I was doing ribbon cutting, okay, the ribbon cutting. I whatever. By the way, then we'll be able to hear the speakers. I don't know how to do that. It's really. What is it? The ribbons are not. Ribbons and things.
I say that.
As I lift my eyes to the mountains, what is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. See, your protector doesn't sleep. The protector is Israel. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul. You're going and coming now and forever. Now and forever. Today is a day with some sadness, and then maybe some tears, and also maybe a little bit of laughter as well. Remember, we do remember. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here. With love in your hearts, all the memories that you bring with you, that you'll take away with you when this day is done. You might recognize these words. For everything that there is a season. There's a time for every experience under heaven. There's a time to be born, and there is a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot that which is planted. There's a time to tear down, and there's a time to build up. Time to weep and a time for laughter. A time to grieve and a time to dance. And a time to throw stones and a time to gather those stones. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from that embrace. There's a time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to discard. A time to tear and a time to sow. There's a time to keep silent and there's a time to speak. This is really a time for both of those things. So I'd ask Barry to come up and share with us. you all for being here. We're here to, obviously, to celebrate, to think, to remember our family member, our friend, someone who was deep in our heart, one way or another. For me, this is very difficult because I've been writing this speech for the last 12 years. Every time my brother was sick, I started writing this speech. And I'm up here now, and I don't know what to say. I can't consider him gone, and I'm only thinking about the positivity that I have. I'm only thinking about what I gained. It's not about what I lost. As you all know, he was very sick for 11, 12 years, was given a terminal diagnosis 11, 12 years ago, and he made it this long. He made it long enough for me to write, 10 or 12 of these speeches that I'm giving. One of the interesting things, you'll hear interesting things about Chuck, and you all know interesting things about Chuck, but maybe you don't know how Chuck became Chuck. Chuck is I can't talk in the past. Chuck is a very interesting person. Chuck was, it's the story kind of the ugly duckling turning into a swan. Our father was gone at sea for 3 months at a time. He would come home for 2 weeks, and my mother would pull us out of school, and we would spend time with our dad. That's why, Shirley, rather than going on a vacation, I'd rather stay home. To me, that's vacation. And then he would leave again. Well, every time he would leave, he would say to my brother and I, he would say, Barry, you're in charge, take care of your brother. So my whole life, he and I have been like a team, watching over each other, trying to help each other, keep touching each other. My job was to protect Chuck. Unfortunately, I protected him too much, and Chuck was in the background. So anytime anybody would ask him a question, I would answer for him. I was 2 years old. We're 14 months apart. I was 2 years old, and he was a year old, and I would answer the questions. He later learned how to talk, as you all know. How did he become a dentist? This is probably one of the most unique and interesting of all the stories. When we were growing up, my mother's Chuck was a builder and a mechanical guy, and as he always was good with his hands and could do things. And Chuck built this erector set, had this erector kit, and built all these erector things. And my mother said, Chuck, you're going to be an engineer. You're a builder, you're going to be an engineer. And then she went to Barry and said, Barry, you're going to be a dentist because dentists don't work on weekends. and so my brother and I grew up thinking I was going to be a dentist and he was going to be an engineer. He even went to engineering school. I think he completed 3 years of engineering school. What happened? We had this mutual friend, and the mutual friend says to him, Chuck, you do so much with your hands. You're so good at what you do with your hands. My brother is in dental school. He was my roommate with your brother, Barry. And you do more with your hands and you do more things than my brother in the dental school. You should be a dentist. And my brother said, you're right, I should be a dentist. He had completed 3 years of engineering school. He went back, he said, Barry, what do you think? I think I'm going to become a dentist. And I said, boy, I can't
believe that. You're one more year, you're gonna be an engineer. He said, I want to be a dentist. He had this kind of mind that he was building his life. Even though I talked for him and he was always in the background, he was really a person who had his own heart and followed his own heart. He worked hard as heck and graduated very high in his dental school and became a very successful dentist, and he loved dentistry. The art in him came out, and he put the artist into his dental work. So what happened to Barry, the dentist? I'm the one who's not supposed to work on weekends. I tried to study for the dental exam. You have to carve a piece of chalk. I could only carve the chalk down to nothing. I was covered with chalk dust all the time, everywhere I went. People were afraid to shake hands with me. And one day my cousin said to me, you know, we should go to pharmacy school together. I said, that's it, I'm going to pharmacy school. Just like Chuck said, I'm going to be a dentist, I became a pharmacist. That was the interesting thing about our lives. Chuck was always an artist at heart. And in his heart, he was a builder and a creator, and he learned how to make it beautiful. He learned how to put art into it. He had his heart into it. When he was a little kid, he was always building stuff and working really, really hard. I could go into the ships, I could go into all of the other things, but I wanted to give you kind of a background on a person that we know was not really the person we knew. He was always like an ugly duckling that inside was a swan, and he became a swan. His heart, he followed his heart, and maybe that's the biggest lesson that we can learn from Chuck, is to follow your heart. He was brave, he was hardworking, he was patient, disciplined, dedicated. He was always ignored and misunderstood as a kid. He was a true hands-on artist and mechanical genius. But most of all, he was my brother. And may his memory be a blessing. Thank you.
Adonai Roi, lo so, non pesce everything. Amen. Unto Napalim, Nashi Shove. Yantain the Maglet said the motion, and he ate the some of it. No, he brought up. The way Rara Kiata and shifted from Shanteta, Emily Nathan. Taofu Fana, Shukhan, they get so alive. Ishanta, Shemen. Roshi Kosi Vivaya, Achton Chesed, Vitupumi, Mechaya, Bishafti Kavek, Orech, words. Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, making my way to lie down in green pasture. Leading me beside the still water, and restoring my soul. Guide me in straight paths for His name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I shall dwell in the house of God forever. All right, Aaron, just share.
Hey, Grandpa, I gotta read this just gonna show you this week. Well, the cross is sword. I've I started playing chess against him when I was, I think, 5, and he never let me win. So I lost every game from 5 until I don't remember if I was 10 or 15. But it was a long time of constantly losing the school, visiting grandparents, hello, lose the game chess, come back down. My mother told him to let me win one game, but he said no, I have to earn it. So I finally got that one win years ago, and we've been tied ever since. But that is one thing, really important thing that he gave me, is the having to work for my accomplishments. When I tell the people I hang out and they just like give me something, no, I don't want you to give it to me. I want to earn it. I want to know that when I checkmate you, that was I earned that. And I also got from him a lot of my love of creating things and building, like the thing that he probably 16 pieces that a lot of time to put back together, so big project. But his dentist, we always came to visit him. He pulled out one of my teeth that was over it and watched soccer, but he created a bunch of really cool sculptures, like the guy in the say chess hand yesterday, and a bunch of hands and the chess set we always played on this is an incredible chess set. So cool. And I lost the rose on the queen like 4 or 5 years ago, and he never let me forget that I lost the rose. So I want to, he has the molds for it, so I want to forge another chess set to pass down. And when I do that, I think I'll keep the rose off, just to remember. I'm named after his dad, Aaron Pascal. That's me, Aaron Pascal. I'm going to own maritime as a merchant at seated. So thank you, Grandpa. I love you.
That was beautiful at the beginning. You heard sort of the struggle breath. The trumpet, the sound that you heard, and it's now in the era before Barry mentioned about Chuck being a builder, flashing on this. Every Shabbos we read in the Super. LSR quoting Rabbi Hanina, talking about how important it is to teach. It says the Rosh Hashanah great will be the peace of your children when you teach them Torah. But then there's a correction made, and they say don't read Onai, read Onai, but the children of the builders of the future, builders. And in his way, he kept on building in a great way. Adonai Ha'adam, God can be Benenosh, Latifashvili, Adam, Tedo. God, what are we? What are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us, Lord? We're just like a breath. Our days are like a passing shadow. We come and we go like the grass. The grass which the morning shoots up, renewed, and then in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to return, saying, Shuvu, return. Return, O mortal creatures. Would that we were wise, that we understood where we're going. For when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory does not accompany us. Mark this, the whole part. We shall have peace. That used to really bother me when I was a kid. I asked my mom, the teacher, why do they say that we die, we carry nothing away with us? He said, well, you should think it's going to be this way. How much we leave of ourselves, the ones that love us here. All the things that you came to say in the Christ, that you will remember over and over again. Be kind, Jesus.
Whenever we'd come up to visit our grandparents, we'd always visit Grandpa and go into his office and watch him make his ships and his airplanes, which this ship is still sitting in the ship. One day, one of his grandsons will finish it. Whenever my grandparents would come down, we'd always go spending on us. It was the most amazing time. Grandpa would always sit next to one of us, and we'd always talk about whatever he's building, or whatever we're working on at school. This chat. He came down from our parents, even though it was during COVID. We had it was on Zoom in my living room. With over 200 people online with my grandparents on two sides of the house, and a few cousins in the house in the backyard, so that we stayed 6 feet from each other. Luckily, we could come down for his last birthday, which was the most amazing part of my year, getting to see him. The last time I saw him before he passed away. I got to wheel him around, we went to dinner together. It's really, really fun. Whenever we were younger, we would go to his dentist's office, and he would show us all these really, really cool tools. It's so fun. It's like around this was the scrape the teeth and mirrors that we have. And when we were younger, he would take out our teeth.
Shalom, Yishu Shel Hamayim Be'eva Shamayim Tfilah Ha'or Be'hayam Yishu Shel Hamayim Be'eva Shamayim Tfilah My God, I pray that you see the sand and the sea, the hush of the water, the crash of the heavens, the prayer in each heart. The sand and the sea, the rush of the water, the crash of the heavens, the prayer in each heart. Larry?
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Our dad. A eulogy. I struggled on whether to talk today because, let's be honest, the whole concept of combining public speaking at a funeral while grieving the loss of your loved one is a dreaded combination. I often sought advice from my dad, so as I was writing the tribute, it got me thinking as to whether he wanted me to give him a eulogy at all. And all I could hear is, yes, Larry, suck it up. Of course, I would try to argue my case, as often I do in our discussions, and I was telling me, Dad, you know when you're sailing in the bay in Sausalito and you try to take a snapshot of the breathtaking views to capture the moment? And of course, what about the boat that you built from scratch, or even the chess set? Well, Dad, those photos never really truly capture the moment, just as my words today can't fully express the beauty of the canvas you painted of your life. When you create your chessboard and you build your models, a lot of people have built planes, boats, and chess sets. But what you were able to do was memorialize them and imbue yourself into those things that you've created. Those chess pieces and that boat will be passed down from generation to generation. And everybody will ask, who created this? And your story will live on forever, because they're going to go back and say, who's Charles Pascal, my family, who was 5 generations ago, and they're going to have this amazing memorialization of the things that you created. Feeling proud of my argument, my dad's response would be with a smile of appreciation, maybe a hug, and then he would deepen his voice and give me the same response. Yes, Larry, suck it up. Okay, so I'm not going to share my deepest thoughts today because there's no way I can get through it all. It's personal, so I came up with a different approach. My dad, you see, as you've heard from my Uncle Barry and others, was a successful craftsman. And through that, he became a dentist. He was also a teacher, and most importantly, my father. I think everyone who knew my dad would understand he would never miss the opportunity to share a nugget of history. He was a perfectionist too, and an incessant in the historical accuracy of everything he touched. So Dad, in the spirit of your love of teaching and history, I decided to channel your love for all things history so that this eulogy is authentic to you. And hopefully, in your honor, people will learn something new today. As it turns out, eulogies have a rich history that spans centuries and cultures. The term eulogy comes from the Greek word eulogia, which means good word or praise. The practice of delivering eulogies dates back to ancient Greece, where it was customary for publicly honor the lives of individuals who have made significant contributions to society. These early eulogies were not exclusive to funerals. They were delivered during public events and celebrations, serving a form of public recognition and appreciation. The tradition of eulogizing the deceased was then adopted by the Romans, who incorporated it into their funeral rites, which recounted the person's life, character, and accomplishments. The Middle Ages saw a shift in the nature of eulogies, with a great emphasis on religious themes and the afterlife. It was not until the Renaissance period that eulogies began to take on a more personal reflection and remembrance. Well, Pop, I know how important historical accuracy is to you, so the good news is that based on the canvas of your life, you're well deserving all the eulogies today. Toward the end, my dad was literally clinging to life because he didn't want to go. I know he thought that there was more to paint on his canvas, but it is up to us to appreciate his life's work and finish what he started. On a lighter note, I'm sure we've all played the game, what would you want as your last meal? For my dad, he loved steak. So it was a surprise that towards the end of his time, all he wanted was to drink orange juice. He could not get enough orange juice and was so happy when he drank it. Orange juice. Out of all the foods or drinks, he could have not Pinot, not sodas, orange juice. Mom, looking back, maybe all we needed to do was give him orange juice and orange juice infusion instead. Joking aside, I'll miss you, Dad. And yes, I returned your car, your little red car in one piece. You have a habit of not returning things, and he always lets me remember it. But I do plan on restoring the leather on the steering wheel. If you feel strongly against that, then you better come to me in a dream because it's going to happen. We'll miss you, Dad. You've made a big impact on all of our lives, and I love you.
It's pretty fairly modern piece of Hebrew. Yesh Kochavim, there are stars. There are stars up above us, so far away, you can only see their light long, long back. The star itself is gone. And so it is with the people that we love. Their memories, their spirit, keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. They are the stars that light up our darkest night. They are the lights that guide us as we live our day. In many ways that we remember. Right.
If you would You. To me, you're more than a father-in-law. You were a teacher, a doctor, and a dentist. But you're also a great partner to talk about good coffee and good wine. I always enjoyed having a glass of wine with you. Actually, my fondest memory of you is a few days after Noah was born. You told me, go rest, Shane, and you took Noah to your room and started an episode of MASH with a glass of wine in one hand and a tiny Noah on the other, with that Harrison Ford kind of smile. What I think is so amazing about Chuck is that he was humble. But most of all, that when you needed him, even if it was just to ask him a question, he would either impose being, he would give you his full attention, even if he was in the middle of a problem or work. His advice was always logic and sensible. I remember one Sunday night, my mother got a deep cut across the palm of her hand, and we called Chuck to ask, what should we do? Without hesitation, he immediately said, meet me at the clinic. I was with my mom and witnessed as he patiently and calmly and meticulously, and most of all warmly, cleaned and saw the cut. And it barely scarred. You were an artist. You gave us all the gift by fighting hard to stay here longer with us. So thank you for that. And thank you for being such a good papa for my girls. I will miss you and you will never be forgotten. Years is the trouble.
I'm left. You know, it's hard here to stand in front of everyone and my dad and try to come to terms with the fact that he's gone. A little bit of people say, oh, well, you know, sort of, I lost my dad. And can't say that because I can hear my dad saying, what do you mean you lost? You know exactly where I am. We talked about, people mentioned his models and how exacting they are. And Larry mentioned how, you know, the boats will be passed down. But the one thing that I think is going to be lost, at least at some point, is exactly how batshit crazy my dad was about his lives. And you can look at them and you can see, oh, this looks like a great model. This is a, you know, this is amazingly well put together. But no one knows what really went into those models. And the model of that Cessna that he had, that was going to originally be his trainer so he could learn to fly planes, never got one. Remember going to the airport with him and counting rivets and how that plane is accurate to the last rivet. Or how he redid the flaps 6 times because they didn't go back at the exact right angle as they did on the plane. Or the ship. Everyone's seen the ship, right? This amazing ship. Well, what you haven't seen was what went into making this amazing ship. And that ship was a gift from my grandparents on my mom's side. They were traveling through Europe and they saw this trip, this big ship, HMS August. Thought, oh, check it out. My dad starts putting this boat together, and the first thing he notices is this little block that goes between the masts, the step masts. And he noticed that this block wasn't correct. that it was either square and the front end should be curved, or the front end was curved and it should have been squared, because they didn't use the style that this particular model was until, 2 decades after when the ship was built. So once he saw that, he's like, oh gee, what else is wrong? And from that, he ended up casting his own cannon because the cannon was long. He built a jig to spin the rope so that he would have the correct material scaled down. He would tie knots. And this is the part that people aren't going to see. It's because there are 3 gun decks on this ship. And each one of those guns is rigged exactly how the guns were rigged on the ship. And they have the blocks and the tackles and the knots and the rope that is coiled up very neatly next to the gun, because you have to have the gun it has to be fastened to the side of the ship. Otherwise, the first time you fire the gun, it's going to go and fly off the other side. But every gun is cast by hand, and every gun is meticulously rigged perfectly. And there are gun ports covering these. So you can kind of see it on the guns on the top, that every single gun is done this way. And would ask him, Dad, why did you do this? It took him hours and hours to rig up each gun. Why are you doing this on something that nobody is ever going to see? And the answer was, well, because I know it's there. And I know that it's right. I learned a lot from my dad. I was not the easiest teenager growing up. And having teenagers pull some of the stuff that I pulled on my dad, they've gotten, they've had an easier time of it than I did. Because when I'll go upstairs and I'll see that Aaron has stolen my tools and I don't know where anything is. And the first thought was like, well, what goes around comes around. I really can't complain, because I did the exact same thing to my dad, which I still have my dad's tools that he's still probably looking for that are in my. And the one thing, he taught all of us what it was to have a strong work ethic, to make sure that you're always believing in what you're doing. You're the only person who you have to make things right with at the end of the night. But what he also told me is that, whatever it is that you do in life, you need to enjoy it. And that's always been so important. My dad was a dentist. He never thought that it was work. He did it because he loved doing it. And he passed a lot of that down to me and to my siblings, to his grandkids. And one of the things that I really cherish that he taught me was, this was when I was a teenager. He actually learned how to tie a bow tie. And somehow he managed to teach me how to tie a bow tie. I'm not sure how he did it, because I'm still not really sure how to tie it. But I remember seeing him like, Dad, why are you tying this bow tie? That's crazy. no one does bow tie. Like, well, right, the coolest thing about wearing a bow tie and tying a bow tie is being able to untie your bow tie at the end of the night and to wear it around like this. Say, hey, yeah, I know how to tie bows. Growing up, I know, a lot of parents try to tell their kids what they want, what they want them to do, and to provide them some direction. I never knew what my dad wanted. Like, very specifically, he never pushed me into one direction or another. And it wasn't until I think I was in my 30s that he told me, hey, I really wanted you to go to Annapolis and join me. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I thought that would have done really well for you. All right, maybe it would have. I had absolutely no inkling, no nothing that's what he thought. And throughout his life, he really only did two things to push me into something that I did not want. The first thing was when I was in elementary school, and he made me play soccer. I hated soccer. Every moment of every practice, every moment, every day, I hated soccer. And the minute he let me quit soccer, I quit soccer and never looked back. I just hated soccer. And the last thing that he did was he pushed me into this club that I had no desire to do. And I am thankful for Alex Bernstein coming, who's another recent inductee to this club of having a dead dad. And I know that he wouldn't have put me into this club if he had any choice. And I'm so thankful for every moment and for all he did to keep me from it.
Some years ago, a friend of mine was a big fan, two of us were fans of him, Joshua Heschel, Reverend Heschel. And so when he was ordained and graduated, he sang, he took Heschel's words. He hadn't heard Heschel's Polish in English, but he turned it into a country at graduation. Such a gift to be created in the image, greater skin, to know it to be true. Sparks of faith, eternity with you. Take this gift. This is what you do. Shape yourself. Sound and melody, make your life a sacred work of art. Make your life a sacred work of art. Well, I think Heschel was kind of referring, I think, in a way, to the very last commandment, the 613th one. It says in that portion by Isaac, And then other places too. We're told every Jew should write a Torah. Well, they've been arguing about just what that means for ages. Even Rashi had a different version of what it meant, and Maimonides yet another version of it. Well, I believe that Heshe was talking about how we live our lives. Really, the Torah of our lives. I've known Chuck for decades, and in so many different ways, in so many different roles. With my friend, who was my children. They loved the time spent. When he was the president of Peninsula Temple Sholom, I spent 51 years there. After a year, watching you guys grow up. And wondering, with it all, he was there as an advisor. He had this gentleness. He was approachable, always willing to help in his way. With it all, he was always true to his values, true to himself. I know Heshe would agree when it comes to that. It was an art how he lived his life. Just yesterday, I spent the day with his family talking about Chuck and what today would be like. I learned a lot. Didn't know. My friend of more than 40 years. His earliest times with his parents, his brother Barry, his vows, and I got to see, for the first time actually, the amazing chest of one of the pieces right there. The Chuck fashioned from surgical steel, such intricate work. Perfect example of how Chuck was really driven to complete the work of his life, any task. To do it with all this being, to do it correctly, the right way. This chest, each piece, if you could see it afterwards, this one, any of them, each piece is a masterpiece. That's how Chuck approached his life, his family, his friends, his work. I think Martin Luther kind of said in his way the best. His words were, the world is not comprehensible, but it is embraceable through the embracing of others. That was Chuck. Chuck's love of his family. He was blessed from at first sight by the love of his life. That tomorrow, actually, I believe, it's the 56th anniversary of the first day, June 29th. Blessed with 55 years of marriage together. His children, watching them grow up with their families, Allison, Mark, Abe, Charlotte, Larry, Shawnee, Noah, Em, Greg, Cynthia, Aaron, Levi, and Michael. In the words of the rabbi, he spent a lot of years with, and was a good friend back and forth through everything. The rabbi was here, he could say, as we get ready to go to our next place here, bring this part to an end. He would say no person can bless another, only God can bless. But you can be a blessing in this world. You can be a blessing. Chuck was a blessing. He was blessed by his family, his children's families, his friends, and his patients. We pray, may your soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life. I ask you now, please, if you can, please rise for the lowly. Afterward, we will be moving to another spot. Very close to this one. שוכן במרמים, המצאנו נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה, עם קדושים וטהורים, כי זכר הרקיע משכילים, את נשמה יצחק בן אהרון, שהלך לעולמו בגן העדן. אנא בעל הרחמים, יזכירנו בסתר קרבו לעולם, ויצרו בצרו החיים לנשמתו, ונחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו. Mother Rachamim, compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, we pray you grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence. Yitzhak ben Aharon, he has entered eternity. Rachamim, God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings. The soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. Let us all say amen. So go to we're going to the next place I got out of the all back to that's how the house happened. And if you don't know the address, see what the family is. Return again. Return again. Return to this place. Return again. Return to the place of your sin. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Turn to where you are. Born again. Return again. Return again. Return to the place of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the place of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you were. Return to where you are. Or
Yeah. We have to lift it up onto this. Really? Okay, we'll watch while you do that.
Do you think we should have people walk on the side?
One, two, three, four.
I'll share with sorrow and family sorrow. With love, we give family. They meet with them by being the father of the son, Diana, Diana, and that. We pray to you, the Lord of God, the author of life, ruler of the universe, informed us the son of the weak, the divine, humility, sustained in your goodness, God, all of us, God. And we thank you. In a very short few seconds, we're going to be reciting prayer. If you are to take the name, share the discussion of our new Bible that we what we said and see the surface. The college was done in the music in our air, and it doesn't have what we delight and first peace. You may try to only give ourselves. That's what we like everything. The son is the legacy and that one is the father. If you are going to pen.
Igadash Meraba. Madibach Ute Belich Mahute. Chayachon Yomachon Umaid Beat Israel. Earth is Mount Rivi Ruman. Eish Maya. Yibarach Yishalach Yiparai Mam Nase. Vita Dan Vita Le Vita Lash made a good shot Grihu. Elami Birkata Shirata Tushata Bel Mama Ruam Shamai Bimu Station we are Shalom Alenu Vil Israel. Amen.
Peace. Say peace to all, gratitude to their hearts. And if someone understands the first job that they should rely on. When you left into this place, in those places where the Sabbath with God. Say something. You finish the day. You have to go to the day. In the rising of the sun and in its going down. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter.
We remember him.
In the opening of the love and in the birth of spring. In the blues of the stars, in the warmth of the sun,
Remember him.
in the rustlings of leaves, in the beauty of autumn. If we're ever weary and in need of strength, remember him. If we're ever lost in the heart, remember him. When we have those joys that we really need to share with him, remember him. In this way, so long as we live, your heart each time you remember it. Let it be. Thank you. We're going to have Saturday night, 7:15, start the process, the commission of Kansas. Give us, the next Sunday will be 7:15, Saturday at the same place. You know, home, and, we'll see you Saturday night. Please, direction, you want to, not me. Right, but you read it. But everyone-
Thank you for joining.